Hello and welcome to Showstar's House. My name is Jackson Piri. This is a show where we discuss issues that are driving the conversation in the country. And today is one other episode where we bring you a very fascinating guest. It's fascinating to me because some of you find him upfront, some of you find him controversial, and he's a lot of things. He's recently driving a movement for young people. He's calling it Ichaba Iche. Okay, he's none other than MPUNDU. He is a member of parliament for Nkana. Honorable, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Showstar. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Honorable, thank you so much for making time. I really appreciate.
My pleasure.
You are making news every day. So it's good to have you here so that you can talk to the people directly.
Thank you.
Yeah. So at a later stage, we'll be able to allow you, there's a number on the screen that you can actually use and be able to talk to the Honorable for your contributions and questions. Honorable MPUNDU, for people that don't know much about you, maybe they just came across trending videos and whatnot, who is MPUNDU?
There's a lot you need to know, but in very short, a very small sentence, MPUNDU is a young man. Even though the word young is very subjective.
Yes.
I come from a very modest background. I represent the ordinary day, young person who has grown up, on the street literally, having, gone to beg on the street myself. I'm very grateful to God that I'm here today because many who shares my story have not been able to come out of what life had thrown at me. And so I'm a humble guy. I am married. I've got 4 children. I'm very proud that my firstborn son is completing grade 12 this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, already.
Nice. Nice.
My last born is BINWELL after me. And my wife, very beautiful woman I got from Mufrira. You must also understand I have come a long way learning leadership. I have had an opportunity and I want to pay tribute to the late President Edgar Chagwalungu, who gave me an opportunity to have served the people of Kitwe at a very high level in the district as district commissioner from 2017 into 2020. And here I am at the behest of the people of Nkana. I am now serving as an independent member of parliament for Nkana constituents. So I think that's more of what people may need to know. I went to Kawambwa Boys. Part of what you may see is as a result of having gone to Kawambwa Boys.
Yeah, we see that part a lot.
Yeah, I think that is a little that is there to know about MPUNDU.
I'm interested when you say you were on the streets begging. Just give me a bit of a story in that direction.
Well, so like many families today, my family struggled when my father retired from the national service. The little package that was given to me was not sufficient then to be able to fend for the family, particularly in terms of school needs. I found myself dropping out of school partially in my 11th grade when I should have been returning to my 3rd term in grade 12. My father couldn't take me to school because there was literally no money. I didn't want to drop out, and so I decided to go on the street to look for help. I spoke to a number of people. My request was very simple. I just wanted somebody to take me back to school. Spent the whole day on the street, walked away with a 2,000 kwacha, which was a 2 kwacha then, rather which is 2 kwacha now. I gave up on the streets, reached out and found...
So when you're on the streets, you're not asking for handouts like food?
I actually had, a write-up, a letter, which I was giving to people, telling my story. I just needed help to go back to school. The whole day of hustling got me nothing but a 2,000 kwacha, which is a 2 kwacha now. It was only equivalent to a bus fare from town to Luangwa, where our family house was. Luckily, my uncle came through to take me back into school, and I continued from where I'd left, just missed out on my 3rd term, proceeded to do my grade 12. I struggled through tertiary education, and you're looking at a self-taught gentleman. I literally taught myself accountancy. We are fortunate that with accounting programs, you can actually study from home.
Yeah.
And so I'm a self-taught guy in terms of accountancy. I have had experience working in the private sector as an accountant. Decided to pursue law because of my interest in politics, and joined officially the Patriotic Front somewhere in 2005-6 thereabouts. Rose from the lower ranks of the party, started off as a branch chairperson, rose all the way to becoming the provincial secretary of the Patriotic Front on the Copper Belt. Now that was big considering the age. I got fortunate that when I was not adopted by the PF in 2016, the president, may so rest in peace, decided to, appoint me as district commissioner for the great city of Kitwe. And I think that, in all honesty, I served, the city of Kitwe with a lot of distinction. And in 2021, again, I applied for adoption, in the PF. Again, I was ignored as I was ignored in 2016. At that point, I decided, like they say in Bemba, so I decided, look, loyalty should be two-sided. If I'm loyal to the PF and they are not loyal to me, I need to chart my own path. And I decided to go independent. I am grateful to the people of Nkana. They decided to give me, a chance. And it will interest you that I went up against 7 competitors in that election. My results put together, let me say all my competitors putting their results together, they could not even match up to
what you got.
What I got. So
wonderful.
That shows you that the people of Nkana had a lot of confidence in me. As to whether I have performed up to the expectation is a conversation for another day. I think that we've done, a lot for Nkana.
We will come there, sir. We will come there. We will come there.
Yeah.
I'm interested, as you talk, I'm already picking up things that I want to know more about. When you say that you went up against 7 people, and all of them put together, they couldn't match up to your count. The people that were adopting in PF, they couldn't see that they had a giant this side, and then they went for someone else. Why do you think they left you out in the adoption in the 2021?
Well, my story is a story of many young people. Most of these traditional political parties, have always been ignoring young people. Okay, no matter how popular you can be as a young person, chances are that the political party will be looking at many things. Namely, you are young, you have no money, and I had no money myself to give out to those who sit to do the adoption. Even though the PF will tell you today, they had all the indications that I was the most popular candidate.
They had all the indications?
They had. Because you see, when a ruling party is adopting, they have a lot of information at their disposal, including, the national intelligence, wing will actually give them, this is what is on the ground. And I know there's been a lot of confessions, including the Secretary General of the PF then, Davis Mwila, at one time would actually proudly say, look, we know BINWELL is the most popular guy, but we have to go with this, with Alexander.
Why did they choose Alexander over you?
Well, there are a lot of factors that are at play when it comes to adoptions. Remember, I was competing against a guy who had been serving as a minister, and this guy was extremely wealthy. Okay, and this is a guy who has nothing to offer anybody who is sitting, on the table of decision making in terms of the adoption. So there are these, factors, and also the thinking that this gentleman, even if we leave him, he will still continue to be, singing praise for us. Little did they know that I had already made a decision that, look, I can't continue being loyal when the party is not being loyal to me. Okay.
I know we're digressing very much.
Yeah.
I want to go back. You said you didn't have money to complete your 3rd term in grade 12. But then you quickly talked about how you did law and then you did accounts. How did you get sponsorship for those?
So I dropped out in my 3rd term of my grade 11, 3rd term. So I missed out on the 3rd term, grade 11. But, my uncle came through to now take me through to school from 1st term into the 3rd term of grade 12.
Yes.
So I actually completed grade 12. I struggled to go to a tertiary institution because Uncle then had a lot of responsibility, had a lot of children that he had to obviously see through school. I found myself, spending a lot of time in the community. Oh, by the way, I would have ended up being a soldier.
Oh, really?
I actually applied to the military because I was becoming desperate then to go to a tertiary institution. And interestingly, as fate would be, I was accepted to go and become a soldier.
Really?
And the letter only arrived a day when I was needed to go and report in Kabwe. Unfortunately, the letter arrived somewhere around 16 when I should have been reporting at around 10 hours.
Oh, goodness.
I want to think that God had purposed me to be in another department. And so I continued to grow desperate to a point where I learned of a group of accountants who were offering tuitions. So I decided, let me go and start getting those tuitions and pursue the National Accounting Program, which was NATEC then. And so I started studying NATEC, literally on my own, because I could just go and pursue, or rather get these tuitions. So I saw myself studying on my own to complete the accounting program. It would interest you that the accounting program, the NATEC program then, was the toughest program to ever be pursued by any accountant. And it was designed in a way where Zika was literally regulating the number of accountants to be churned out. It was designed for 2 years, but I managed to do it in 1 year, 6 months. Now, that was unprecedented because very few were able to actually even complete it in 2 years. So I did quite a lot, exceedingly well in that department. So I went on to start pursuing the licentiate program, which is an addition to the NATEC program. Mm-hmm. Later on, I decided to pursue my dream, which is politics, and decided, let me start the law program. And so I went to the University of Zambia, Kitwe campus, and decided to pursue a diploma in law, which I completed with a merit.
This is you sponsoring yourself?
Yes. This is now me being an accountant and being able to sponsor myself.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Great. It's quite a very good story.
Yeah.
Some people say you are using the Ichaba movement to mask your your personal political ambitions. Are you planning to run for president one day?
I would love to run for presidency in this country because I believe that the people who are managing this country are doing it the wrong way, and we are destined for failure as a country. I want to believe that I have gained sufficient understanding of what governance is and what is needed in this country. I think given an opportunity, I can do a far better job. But look, I have a lot of decisions that I can make. A lot of my friends today have decided to have the easy way, all right? A lot of people today have gone to dine with the UPND. Some of them have walked away with contracts. Some of them are insulated from persecution. I can choose to do that. Those who are thinking I am using the movement to mask or to have a platform need to know. Today, you can imagine this, Showstar. If I decided to join the UPND today, don't you think that I would have a comfortable life? I would obviously have a comfortable life. Number one, I would not be persecuted by the UPND as I'm being persecuted today, to a point where I'm being chased out of parliament for committing no offense. Today, I can enjoy my business. My business died a long way from when my contract was not renewed in PF. I have never enjoyed any business everywhere I used to do business from 2020. Okay? Now it is worse that I can't walk anywhere to do business today. So if I wanted to pursue my own personal interests, I can simply walk and dine with the UPND. So those who are thinking I'm using Ichaba for my political expedience are actually misplaced, because I can actually choose the easy way, as many of my friends have done today. What I am doing is basically use the movement for good governance, Ichaba, to create opportunities for many young people. I have had a fair share of experience in regards to how young people are ignored in the political dispensation of this country. And I do not want young people to suffer the same fate, which is why I realized that if the young people were to go, the route of joining these existing political parties, they will be ignored the way I was ignored. Remember, I was better than most of the young people in terms of experience, in terms of opportunities. I had served at the highest level of the PF in the province. I had served as a district commissioner for not just any other district, the next biggest city from Lusaka. Despite this, I was still being ignored. So you can imagine any ordinary young person today, if they'll be given a chance in any of those political parties today. So the Movement for Good Governance, Ichabaich, is basically a platform we've created to share my experience, both in terms of the technical know-how, because today I think I have a lot of experience in how one can navigate the complexity of politics or an election. I want to pass that experience to fellow young people. Okay? So my preoccupation now, Showstar, is not me returning to parliament. I wouldn't even want to return to that parliament. That parliament is useless today. All right? I wouldn't want to even return to that parliament. I would want to dedicate my life to saving this country in a different sphere. Number one,
when you say you wouldn't want to return to that parliament, you mean like after the 7 days or after the next general election?
After the next generation. Okay. In the setup of parliament, in the way parliament is now, it's not inspiring.
When you say parliament is useless now, what's making it useless? How was it useful before?
Look, when we talk about democracy, parliament is a number one institution where you get the democracy, where you get to express yourself, where you get to be protected. The speaker's role is to guarantee you that, to guarantee you the free space to be able to express yourself, to represent people, to be protected from hooligans who sits on the other side. What we have in parliament is something else, completely different from what we dreamt parliament should be. So in that format, I wouldn't want to be there again unless parliament changed in terms of composition, in terms of who presides over the affairs of that parliament. So for me, I just want to dedicate my life now to saving Zambia in a different format. Number one, to building the young people into the next set of leaders. Because look, I believe one of the biggest problems Zambia has now is not a lack of resources. It's a lack of leadership. I believe that the solution to the predicament Zambia finds itself now lies in changing the players we have today. All right? We've been trying the same characters at leadership for far too long. Some of the people who are serving in President HH's parliament, or rather cabinet today, have been ministers from 1991. Yet there's nothing to show. Zambia is on a down spiral, right? Everything is breaking down. Okay, the economy is in ICU today. Governance is broken down irretrievably today. So the people who are holding on to power now have got nothing to show, despite them having had the experience being in governance from 1991. I'll tell you
that I just had a deja vu when you said that the only problem right now is leadership. I had a sit down with President Hakainde Hichilema before the elections. Sounded just like you. Anyway, I don't know what to say anymore, but I hope we can move to a point where we can not complain about leadership. Maybe we can complain about other things. This brings me to my next question. I want to know what happened yesterday in Parliament when you were sent out when you were suspended for 7 days, and it was said that it was due to disorderly conduct. What happened yesterday in Parliament?
Showstar, I'll challenge you, and I'll challenge those that will follow this conversation. I have endeavored to pick the full clip, and I've posted it on my Facebook page, MPUNDU, Honorable MPUNDU, Nkana MP, my Facebook page. I've posted the entire clip of what happened from the time when I was called on to make my submissions over the discussion up to when I was being sent out. And I challenge the citizens today to go and look at every bit and see who was at fault. Now, you need to understand, yesterday is a build-up to the day before yesterday, which was Wednesday. So on Wednesday, the Minister of Finance brought an item in Parliament, namely the supplementary budget. Now, 2024 Parliament approved a national budget for the year 2025 at standing at 217 billion kwacha. Part of the financing of
217 billion kwacha in 2024
for the 2025
budget. Yeah.
Now, part of the financing of the 2025 national budget is a loan, or the government is supposed to contract more debt to a tune of 15.6 billion kwacha. So the law now provides that as you do the budget, you must project the financing. Part of the financing is supposed to be debts. So before you can contract debt as government, you must go to Parliament to ask Parliament to approve the debts. So we approved the 15.6 billion kwacha as part of the financing last year.
Okay.
So the budget must come with a what we call the borrowing plan. So you must plan that we are going to borrow 15.6 billion kwacha to finance part of the budget. Now, midway, this is July, right? Midway the fiscal year of 2025, the Minister of Finance has come back to Parliament to say, wait a minute, there are certain unforeseen issues. So we are asking that we supplement. We have an addition to the 2025 national budget. From 2017, we are adding 33.5 billion kwacha. 33.5 billion kwacha is now 15.5% of the 2025 national budget. So, what the Minister of Finance is now proposing is that to finance the supplementary budget, government has to contract more debt. On top of the 15.5 billion kwacha we are supposed to contract as a debt to finance the 2027 national budget, we have to further contract 14.8 billion kwacha. If you put together these two figures, it gives you 30.6 billion kwacha, which we are supposed to borrow to finance the entire 2025 national budget, the actual budget and the supplementary budget.
Yes.
Now, when you look at 30.6 billion, it gives you in dollar figures $1.27 billion in one fiscal year. Now, on Wednesday, when we were having this discussion, as usual, I was challenging the Minister of Finance. Why have you continued to borrow? Right? Despite the UPND having committed to no borrowing. Remember, the UPND were voted on the premise that they would depart from what PF used to do. And one of the contentious issues was the over-borrowing. And UPND promised the people of Zambia that we are going to depart away from borrowing. Interestingly, today, the UPND has gone the same route of the PF, and they are doing it worse.
The UPND are borrowing more than the PF?
More than the PF, and they're doing it worse. Why? The promise of the UPND was that even if we are going to borrow, we are going to borrow concessionally. Concessionally means we are going to borrow at very minimal interest rate, sometimes 0 point something percent, something that you will not even feel. Today, the UPND is borrowing commercially at 13.5%. Now, if you compare that with the PF used to contract debts like the Eurobonds, right?
What were the rates?
The rates were somewhere between 2 to 3%.
Really?
The UPND is borrowing at 13.5%. Now, look at these disparities. PF would go and borrow outside at 2, 3, 4, 5%. UPND is borrowing locally. Now, the danger with borrowing locally is that, number one, you are borrowing at very expensive money, 13.5%. Secondly, you are now crowding out, pulling out all the monies that should be available for the private sector to go and borrow to finance growth of the private sector.
I have a question, Honorable.
Yes.
I know I'm not an accountant like you, but I'll try and ask as many questions as I can. When you say when they borrow locally, they are getting all the monies, and what makes you think that's all the monies that the local banks have?
It will help you. You don't need to look further.
That's one more. That's one question. And another one is if they borrow at what percentage again?
13.5.
13.5. Don't you think it's good for the local banks if they are paid that much interest back for them to be able to put back into their banks?
So we are talking about
two questions.
We're talking about a government here. Whereas it would be good for the banks that they are paid 13.5% in interest. The banks would go smiling, right? Because they are being paid that interest.
Because the money stays in circulation. It's
But
not
what
going
happens
out.
to the economy? What happens to you as government? Because the interest takes away the resources that would have helped you attend to other social needs. If you have an option of going to borrow at 1%, why would you choose to borrow at 13%? Because 13%, the amount you are going to pay in interest, would have enabled you to attend to many social needs.
Do you think the government does have those options of borrowing at 1% and they deliberately don't go that route?
Now, that's the question you must be asking Vamsokotwani. Why would you choose to be borrowing that expensive money when there could be other options of borrowing cheaper money? But I will tell you what, we don't need to be borrowing now. And that is a contention we had on Wednesday. Why are we going to borrow Showstar in a country that is endowed with so much resources? If you go to Mufumbwe today, I was just watching some clips on social media today where the police are whipping off people that have gone to Mufumbwe and are in possession of God. Today, if you go to Mufumbwe, even little children are trading in God. People in Mufumbwe are having 1, 2, 3, 4 kgs of God. You should look at the numbers of how much God is fetching on the international market today. It begs the answers. Why should a government opt to borrow instead of harnessing that mineral wealth? Because what does it take for you to harness the God resources? If I was president today, I would declare Mufumbwe to be a protected area and declare that all the God resources in Mufumbwe today should be harnessed by government in partnership with the community. It means, therefore, I will allow the community to mine the God, but exclusively sell it to government, so that that gold ends up at a Bank of Zambia. The PF, even if we laugh at them, were fast forward in terms of thinking. They established a special vehicle which was called the Zambia Gold Company, primarily to manage the gold resources, meaning that everywhere gold is discovered, let's move in as government, harness that resources using this special instrument called the Zambia Gold Company. It means that if you are going to partner with anybody, they will be mining this gold, but they will sell it to the Zambia Gold Company. The Zambia Gold Company will then go and sell that gold to the Bank of Zambia. Why is Britain's economy so stronger than most economies? Why is the British pound so stronger than any currency? It's because the British many years ago decided to think forward and went out to buy gold in all the countries that had gold. Because Britain doesn't have gold, but their resources, their reserves are full of gold to an extent where their currency is pegged against the gold. So my conversation on Wednesday was basically challenging the minister. Why are you borrowing? To a point where I was trying to ask a question. Could it be that you are motivated by commissions? Now, I was curtailed by the speaker that I cannot make that outrageous statement, to a point where I was made to apologize and withdraw the insinuation that maybe people could be getting a commission. Now, you must also understand that on Wednesday it was a very heated day in terms of debate, because I kept on being harassed.
Wednesday was the Yateke day?
Yes, that's the day when I made the unfortunate statement, which I'm not very proud of by the way. But you see, this is an interesting conversation that is in the public. Why would you say somebody Yateke and stuff like that? Of course, the reaction is a bit outside. But the citizens may also need to take an interest to understand what sort of provocation is going on in Parliament that is, bringing out these reactions.
So, Honorable,
as an example,
Honorable, I'll come to the reactions. I want to know what happened until you were chased yesterday.
Okay. So you understand that on Friday, our friends the UPND got so mad.
On Wednesday?
On Wednesday. They got so mad that I insinuated that maybe somebody is getting commissions. Yesterday, we were now discussing not a supplementary budget. Remember, when you present a supplementary budget, you must also present how is this supplementary budget going to be financed. So there are a number of proposals the Minister of Finance has proposed to finance the supplementary budget. Part of which is number one, they are going to get some grants from donors. Number two, they are going to borrow 14.8 billion kwacha. Number three, they are introducing new taxes. As an example, those of you who drinks alcohol today, you are going to pay more because of the new tax measures. Transport will attract more now because of the new tax measures. All right? So, now, interestingly, the part of the financing of the supplementary budget, which is the 14.8 billion kwacha that is going to be borrowed, is going to be borrowed locally at 13.5%. Right? Now, this is going to be repaid in 7 years with no grace period, meaning that repayment can even start next year. This is going to push the burden to our children, because this government will go, who is going to be paying? You and our children are going to be paying for that. Now, interestingly, as they are contracting this debt, there's what is called the handling fee. So, the banks that are going to give you, there's going to be a handling fee of not more than 1%. It is there in the borrowing plan. So yesterday,
who gets the handling fee? The banks, the government, or which player is getting the handling fee here?
Unfortunately, there seems to be an insinuation that the banks are getting that handling fee. Now, the contention for me is not whether it is an individual getting the handling fee or the bank. It is a question of what are the quantums of this handling fee. Because without borrowing, you would not be paying this handling fee. Oh, by the way, a handling fee is simply a commission. Right? Remember the other day I was talking about commissions. I was being censured to a point where I was being told, retract that statement. Yesterday, when we were now looking at the actual borrowing plan, the handling fee surfaces. It is there in the plan. Not by me, but by government. They've put in, by Minister of Finance has put in, there is going to be a handling fee. The issue now is not as to whether it is being given to an individual or to the bank. It means government is going to be paying extra for contracting loans. So you borrow $1.2 billion in 1 year. If you are going to pay a 1% handling fee for borrowing $1.2 billion, you are going to pay $12 million in handling fees, in commissions. Whether it is to the bank or to an individual, just know at the back of your mind that this government is losing further than the $1.2 billion. It is losing 12 million kwacha, or rather $1 million in handling fees. Can't we avoid this, Showstar? Yes, we can, which is part of what I am not comfortable with. And yesterday, I was asking these questions. Why are you going to allow this country to be spending this handling fee because of your recklessness in borrowing? Here I am not being, I'm not going to choose words. This government is being reckless in borrowing. Do
you think you are being gagged yesterday by the speaker?
Exactly.
For asking questions.
Exactly.
About the supplementary.
Showstar, yesterday, if I was chased out of parliament the previous day on Wednesday for shouting at the Amutike of Mongo, it would have been justifiable. Yesterday, I was being sent out of parliament for nothing. Because it will interest you what happens in parliament. So the UPND would do heckle at will. They have all manner of unpalatables being unleashed at us. The speaker ignores all that. Even yesterday, after I submitted, there was an MP from Zambezi West who took the floor. And in his submissions, he was now shouting at me saying, you are expressing your ignorance. When I now raised the point of order, I was ignored by the speaker. And I was there complaining to the speaker in my seat. why are you ignoring my point of order? Because this gentleman is actually using uncouth language on me. The speaker decides to say, no, you are speaking from your chair, you are being unruly, my hands are tied, I've got to send you away. Honestly speaking, the speaker's hands are tied, because I'm complaining for her not allowing me to raise a point of order on a member that has been unreasonable on me.
That's the point you were sent out for.
That is the reason
for asking her to let you raise the point of order.
Exactly. Now, midway when she was talking to me, the MP for Chienge is whispering something to me. I decide to look at her. She says, you're not being remorseful because I'm talking to you. Why are you looking at the other MP? And I have no choice. My hands are tied. I've got to send you away. Exactly as simple as that. Saw me being chased for 7 days. Now, Showstar, I want to challenge the Zambian people today. You see, in Parliament, it not being a church, there are going to be heated moments. All right? Those moments is what crowds up our social conversations. We pick these small reflex moments of chochise and we make them the subject of discussion. What do? We leave the meat, the actual conversation. The actual conversation today, Showstar, is that your government is reckless. This government that promised you they are going to do away with borrowing has done worse than what UPF used to do. They are now borrowing commercially at 13.7%. On top of that, they are spending extras in handling fees. Can't this be avoided? It can be avoided if this government was being prudent in managing our mineral wealth.
I hear you. I think we have discussed that part. There's something I want to find out from you, Honorable. The churches moments. Yateke, Mkurusana, Chimutwe. Are you proud of those moments?
No, I'm not proud. I'll tell you that there's no justification for the overreaction. Sometimes we overreact. Now, these are called light moments. Now, let me address this point. The environment in Parliament has become so hostile that we have to adopt a demeanor, sometimes to an extent of being over defensive. Right? We are not proud of that. That's not what we stand for. But you see, when the speaker allows these organisms to go unattended to, you expect people to become defensive ordinarily. When you have a bully in town, you don't always give in to the bully. You want to adopt a mechanism that is defensive against the bully. So the problem here is that the speaker has allowed the UPND members to be unruly and to become bullies against us. Nobody interrogates the bullying. We focus on the light moments, the reactions. Now, there are certain statements you hear from the public suggesting to a point where, no, young people are excited, that's why we should not have allowed young people. Look at the language they are using. If you compare these reactions, our light moments as young people in Parliament, with what the elders have been able to do, as an example, Jack Mwimbu. Jack Mwimbu, on the former IG in last Parliament, said the worst. There's a video on social media.
So on this, he said the C word.
He said a lot. You are silly. You are what? He said a lot of unpalatables. You cannot compare to what Jack Mwimbu said to Ichimutwe. You can't. Honorable Garin Kombo actually went to use the F word. In fact, it was not with F. It was in Bemba. Okay? The word that I don't want to use now. Insulting another member of Parliament. These are old people. Nobody focuses on these reactions on the part of the old people.
Are we going to see you continue talking to your fellow MPs in that manner?
No, no ways. I'm not okay with us exchanging words in Parliament, because Parliament must be a house of dignity, honor, and order. All right? But you must also not forget that is not a church. That is Parliament. In fact, Showstar, the Zambian Parliament is one of the what word can I use? it is a civil parliament in terms of language, in terms of conduct.
How civil? You guys slap each other and you throw each other bottles of water.
We haven't slapped ourselves in parliament. We haven't even thrown bottles at each other. Go and watch the Ugandan parliament. Go and watch the South African parliament. It is worse. But I'm not suggesting let us adopt that. I am basically saying time has come for us to have this conversation about who is provoking who and what is being done to those who are provoking others. It is the duty of the speakers to bring the house to order by, number one, curtailing those who are provoking others. Because when you are not provoked, how can you react?
Do you think the speaker, by chasing you, do you think she was trying to shield the finance minister from being held accountable?
Yes, sir.
You're answering before I finish asking my questions. I feel like some people didn't hear the question. By suspending you yesterday or chasing you out of the house, do you think she was protecting the finance minister from being held accountable?
I want to believe that the speaker yesterday did a disservice to the Zambian people. Our duty as members of parliament is to go to that parliament to ask the hard questions and be given answers. The role of the speaker is to probe the minister to respond to the questions. It is not the duty of the speaker to be on the side of defense of the minister, to be challenging us, why are you talking about commissions and what? What the speaker yesterday did, she used her emotions to send me out of parliament when I had done nothing but kept on interrogating the Minister of Finance. I'll tell you what my options are. I can keep quiet. If the Zambian people think that I am doing a disservice to the country by asking these pertinent questions, challenging the UPND government why they've backtracked on their promise that they will not be borrowing. Party you come from, you look at genuinely what is the issue. In the case of the supplementary budget, the issue is we are not against the UPND supplementing the 2025 budget. It is provided for in the law that when there are unforeseen, exigencies, you can go and supplement the budget. But this is what supplementary budgets entails. It entails that, number one, this government could not have predicted the happenings, all right? Could not have prioritized, all right? Because when you are budgeting, you must look at unforeseen, happenings. You must also be able to prioritize. It also indicates that you are, not efficiently managing the economy. And it also brings a lot of issues. Number one, it draws out the confidence of the people in the economic management.
I hear you. Honorable, sorry, my producer says we have a caller.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So I'm kind of asking if we can use the headset so that we can
yeah.
we can talk to people.